When Elon Musk pulled up to the Silicon Valley Innovation Summit in his silver Tesla, he never expected to be stopped at the door. The security guard checked his list twice, then shook his head. "I'm sorry, sir. Your name isn't here." What happened next would save the world. As phones appeared and crowds gathered, Elon's calm response to being denied entry set off a chain of events nobody could have predicted. A mysterious black car watched from nearby. A 12-year-old girl sketched strange symbols in her notebook across the street, and deep beneath the surface of Mars, an ancient warning signal grew stronger. In the next 72 hours, Elon Musk would discover that being locked out of one room had opened the door to humanity's greatest challenge, and its only hope for survival. The silver Tesla Model S glided silently into the parking lot of the Fairmont Hotel in San Jose, California. Behind the wheel sat Elon Musk, running his fingers through his hair as he checked the time. 6:47 p.m. He was early for the Silicon Valley Innovation Summit, but that was how he liked it. The December evening air was crisp as he stepped out of his car. The Fairmont's grand entrance was decorated with twinkling lights and banners announcing the prestigious event. Tech leaders from around the world had gathered here tonight to discuss the future of artificial intelligence, space exploration, and clean energy. Elon adjusted his black blazer and walked toward the entrance. A red velvet rope separated the regular entrance from the VIP area, where security guard Marcus Thompson stood with his clipboard. Marcus was new to this job, having started just 3 weeks ago. At 6'4" with broad shoulders, he took his position seriously. "Good evening," Elon said, approaching the VIP entrance. Marcus looked up from his clipboard. "Good evening, sir. Name, please?" "Elon Musk." Marcus scanned his list, flipping through the pages. His forehead wrinkled as he went through it a second time. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't see your name on the VIP list." Elon's eyebrows raised slightly. "There must be some mistake. I'm one of the keynote speakers." "I understand, sir, but if your name isn't on the list, I can't let you through this entrance. You'll need to use the general admission line." Marcus pointed to a longer queue forming at the other entrance. A woman in line behind Elon gasped, "Oh my God, that's Elon Musk." Suddenly, phones appeared everywhere. People started recording, whispering excitedly to each other. Within seconds, a small crowd had gathered. "I'm telling you, I'm supposed to be here," Elon said calmly. "I'm speaking about the Mars colonization project in an hour." Marcus shifted uncomfortably, but held his ground. "Sir, I have strict instructions. No exceptions. If your name isn't on this list, I cannot grant you access through the VIP entrance." A teenager in the crowd shouted, "That's literally the Tesla guy. He owns SpaceX." More people gathered, creating a semicircle around the scene. Someone started live streaming on TikTok with the caption, "Elon Musk denied entry to Tech Summit." Elon reached for his phone. "Let me call the event organizer." As he scrolled through his contacts, a young woman rushed past in high heels, nearly dropping her tablet. She wore a headset and carried a clipboard, clearly part of the event staff. This was Victoria Chen, the event coordinator, running late. After dealing with a catering crisis, she was so focused on her phone that she didn't notice the commotion at the entrance. "Yes, we need the vegan options at Station 3, not Station 5, she said into her headset, disappearing through a side door. Elon found the number he was looking for and pressed call. It went straight to voicemail. He tried another number, with the same result. "Look," Marcus said, his voice softer now. "I'm just doing my job. If you want to speak with my supervisor—" No, Elon interrupted. "I understand you're following protocol. That's actually good security." The crowd murmured in surprise. They'd expected him to throw a billionaire tantrum. A middle-aged man stepped forward. "This is ridiculous. Don't you know who this is? He's revolutionizing space travel." Marcus stood firm. "Sir, please step back." Elon raised his hand to calm the growing crowd. "It's okay, everyone. Rules are rules." A little girl tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, why can't the rocket man go inside?" Her innocent question made several people chuckle, breaking the tension slightly. Elon smiled at the girl. "Sometimes even rocket men have to wait their turn." The crowd grew larger. Someone started chanting, "Let him in." But Elon quickly shook his head to discourage them. "Please, everyone, there's no need for this," he said. Just then, his phone buzzed. Elon glanced at the screen, and his expression changed. The message was from an unlisted number. "Don't leave. This is more important than you know. Wait for my signal." He read it twice, his mind racing. Who sent this? How did they know what was happening? A woman in a business suit pushed through the crowd. "Mr. Musk, Jennifer Collins from TechCrunch. Can you comment on what's happening here?" Before he could respond, 3 more reporters appeared, their cameras flashing. "Mr. Musk, is this a publicity stunt? Are you protesting the event? Is this related to the recent Twitter situation?" Elon held up his hands. "No comment. This is simply a misunderstanding." Marcus was sweating now, despite the cool evening air. He pulled out his radio. "Supervisor to front entrance. We have a situation." The crowd had grown to nearly 50 people. Cars were slowing down on the street to see what was happening. The hashtag #MuskRejected was already trending on social media. An elderly man with a cane made his way forward. "Young man," he said to Marcus, "I've been coming to these events for 40 years. This is Elon Musk. He sends rockets to space. I understand, sir, but—" "No, you don't understand," the old man continued. "This man is trying to take us to Mars, and you won't let him into a conference?" Elon gently touched the old man's shoulder. "I appreciate your support, but the security guard is doing his job. Let's not make this harder for him." The old man looked at Elon with surprise and respect. "You're a class act, Mr. Musk." A black Escalade with tinted windows pulled up to the curb, its engine purring. It sat there, not moving, as if watching the scene unfold. Inside the hotel, someone was indeed watching from a third-floor window. A shadow moved behind the curtain, a phone pressed to their ear. Back at the entrance, a teenage boy wearing a SpaceX t-shirt pushed forward. "Mr. Musk, I'm starting college next year to study aerospace engineering because of you. Can I get a selfie?" Despite the situation, Elon smiled. "Of course." As they posed for the photo, more people requested pictures. Soon, an impromptu meet and greet was happening right there at the entrance. Marcus watched, bewildered. He'd expected anger, threats, maybe even legal action. Instead, Elon Musk was taking selfies and signing autographs for the crowd. "You know," Elon said to a young woman as he signed her notebook, "sometimes the best innovations happen outside the conference room." The crowd laughed and applauded. A food delivery driver stopped his bike to watch. "What's going on?" "They won't." "Let Elon Musk into the tech summit," someone explained. The delivery driver's eyes widened. "The Tesla guy! That's crazy!" The supervisor's voice crackled through Marcus's radio. "On my way. 2 minutes." Elon's phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. "Check your email. The real guest list is attached. You're not the EI. Only one missing." He quickly opened his email, his eyes scanning the attachment. His name was there, highlighted in yellow, along with several other notable tech leaders. The crowd continued to grow. Someone had ordered pizza, and was passing out slices. What started as an awkward situation was turning into an impromptu street party. Victoria Chen burst through the front doors, finally noticing the commotion. Her eyes widened when she saw Elon Musk standing outside with a crowd. "Oh my God," she whispered, dropping her clipboard. At that moment, Elon's phone buzzed one more time. The message made his blood run cold. "They don't want you inside because of what you might hear. Project Artemis is compromised. Trust no one." Elon looked up at the hotel windows, then at the black Escalade, then back at his phone. Something bigger was happening here, something that went far beyond a simple guest list error. He took a deep breath and turned back to the crowd with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Whatever was going on, he would play along. For now, the red velvet rope suddenly felt less like a barrier and more like a protective line. Maybe being denied entry wasn't a mistake after all. Maybe it was a warning. Across the street from the Fairmont Hotel, 12-year-old Sofia Martinez sat on a bench, her school backpack beside her. She was supposed to be working on her science project about Mars colonization, but the commotion at the hotel entrance had caught her attention. Sofia pushed her glasses up her nose and squinted. Was that really him? She'd recognize that face anywhere. It was on her bedroom wall, right next to her NASA posters. 3 months ago, Sofia had won her school's science fair with a project about sustainable life on Mars. Her prize was a telescope and a set of books about space exploration. Since then, she'd been obsessed with the idea of humans living on another planet. She pulled out her notebook, where she'd been sketching designs for Mars habitats. The pages were filled with careful drawings of domes, solar panels, and greenhouse modules. Her science teacher, Mrs. Patterson, had encouraged her to think big. "Sofia!" a familiar voice called out. Her father, Juan Martinez, was walking toward her, still wearing his blue SpaceX maintenance uniform. He worked the night shift as a custodian at the SpaceX facility in Hawthorne, though Sofia had never told her classmates. She wasn't embarrassed. She was proud of her dad. But she worried they might treat her differently if they knew. "Papa!" Sofia jumped up. "Look what's happening!" Juan followed her pointing finger to the crowd across the street. His eyes widened when he spotted Elon Musk standing outside the hotel. "Mierda," he whispered, then quickly added, "Don't tell your mother I said that." Sofia giggled. "Why won't they let him in?" Juan sat beside his daughter on the bench. "I don't know, mija. Sometimes things don't make sense." They watched as more people gathered around Musk. Sofia noticed how calm he seemed, how he smiled, and took pictures with people instead of getting angry. "That's just like in my book," Sofia said quietly. "What book?" "The one about his life. It says he was bullied as a kid in South Africa. But he never fought back with his fists. He used his mind. Instead?" Juan looked at his daughter with pride. She read everything she could find about space and the people making it possible for humans to go there. "You want to go say hello?" Juan asked. Sofia's eyes grew wide. "No, I couldn't. What would I even say?" "You could show him your project." And she clutched her notebook to her chest. "It's not good enough." "Sofia Martinez, you won first place at the science fair. Your project is more than good enough." But Sofia shook her head, her shyness winning over her excitement. Instead, she continued watching from across the street. That's when she noticed something odd. In a third-floor window of the hotel, someone was standing behind the curtain. The person had binoculars and seemed to be watching the scene below very carefully. "Papa, look," Sofia whispered, pointing up. Juan followed her gaze, probably just security. But Sophia wasn't convinced. She'd read enough mystery books to know when something felt wrong. The person in the window wasn't watching like security would. They were watching like someone who was waiting for something specific to happen. A police car drove by slowly, the officers craning their necks to see what was causing the crowd. Sophia recognized Officer Rodriguez, who sometimes visited their school to talk about safety. "Should we go home?" Juan asked. "Your mother will have dinner ready soon." 5 more minutes? Sophia pleaded. Juan checked his watch. They had time. "Okay, 5 minutes." Sophia opened her notebook to a fresh page and started writing down everything she saw. Mrs. Patterson always said good scientists were observant. PM. Mr. Musk still outside. Crowd growing. Someone in window watching with binoculars. Black. Car parked nearby. Engine running. She drew a quick sketch of the scene, marking where everyone was standing. Something about this felt important, though she couldn't explain why. A woman in the crowd shouted, "This is discrimination! They can't do this!" But Musk raised his hand calmly. "Please, there's no need for anger. Let's handle this peacefully." Sophia wrote that down too. Her father noticed her scribbling. "You're documenting this?" he asked with amusement. "Mrs. Patterson says scientists should record unusual events," Sophia replied seriously. Juan smiled. His daughter took everything about science seriously. Last week, she'd spent 3 hours observing ants in their backyard, making detailed notes about their behavior. The person in the window moved suddenly, raising something to their ear. A phone, maybe, or a radio. Sophia wished she had binoculars of her own. "Papa, do you think something bad is happening?" Juan considered the question. "I don't know, mija. But Mr. Musk seems safe. Look how many people are protecting him without even meaning to." It was true. The crowd had formed a protective circle around Musk, even as they took pictures and asked for autographs. Sophia noticed a few people scanning the area suspiciously, as if they too sensed something was off. A yellow taxi pulled up, and a woman in a red dress got out. She looked at the crowd, shook her head, and walked into the hotel through a side entrance. Sophia wrote this down too. "Why do you think they won't let him in?" Sophia asked her father. Juan was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes, mija, people make mistakes. Or sometimes, there are reasons we can't see." Sophia nodded, thinking about the mysterious person in the window. There were definitely reasons they couldn't see. Her phone buzzed, a text from her mother, asking where they were. Juan showed her the message. "We should go," he said. But just then, something happened across the street. A black Escalade that had been parked nearby suddenly revved its engine. The crowd turned to look at it. Sophia grabbed her father's arm. "Wait, Papa, something's happening." The person in the third-floor window was gone. The curtains swung slightly, as if someone had left in a hurry. Victoria Chen came running out of the hotel, looking flustered. She was saying something to the security guard, gesturing wildly. Sophia quickly wrote, 7:02 p.m. Event coordinator arrives. Looks upset. Person in window disappeared. "Now, we really need to go," Juan said firmly. As they gathered their things, Sophia took one last look at the scene. Elon Musk was still there, still calm, still signing autographs. But something in his posture had changed. He kept glancing at his phone, then at the hotel windows, then at the black car. "Papa," Sophia said as they walked to their car, "can I tell you something weird?" "Of course. I think Mr. Musk knew he wouldn't be let in." Juan raised his eyebrows. "What makes you say that?" He didn't seem surprised. Not really. He seemed like he was waiting for something else to happen. Juan looked at his daughter thoughtfully. "You noticed all that from across the street?" Sophia nodded. "Mrs. Patterson says the most important observations are the ones that don't match what we expect." As they reached their car, Sophia had one more thought. She opened her notebook and wrote, "Question. If the richest man in the world can't get into a tech conference, who can?" In the car, Sophia's mind raced with questions. Why was that? Person watching from the window? What was Musk waiting for? And why did she have the strangest feeling that she'd just witnessed the beginning of something much bigger than a simple guest list mistake? She looked down at her Mars colony sketches. Sometimes, she thought, the biggest adventures start with the smallest moments, like being locked out of a place you're supposed to be. As they drove away, Sophia didn't know that her observations would soon become more important than she could imagine. She didn't know that the mysterious person in the window had noticed her too, and she certainly didn't know that by tomorrow, her simple science project would connect to events that would change the future of space exploration forever. But for now, she was just a 12-year-old girl with a notebook full of observations, heading home for dinner, carrying questions that would soon demand answers. Back at the Fairmont Hotel, the crowd had swelled to over 100 people. The December evening had grown colder, but nobody seemed to care. The scene had transformed from an awkward moment into something extraordinary. Elon Musk stood calmly at the center of it all, his phone now tucked away in his pocket. The mysterious messages weighed on his mind, but he kept his expression neutral. Years of public appearances had taught him how to maintain composure, even when his thoughts were racing. A young entrepreneur pushed forward. "Mr. Musk, I've been trying to get funding for my solar startup. Could I pitch you my idea right here?" Before Elon could respond, others joined in with their own requests. The crowd became a makeshift networking event, with people exchanging business cards and ideas. The red velvet rope now seemed absurd. The real innovation was happening outside. Marcus Thompson, the security guard, shifted uncomfortably. His supervisor still hadn't arrived, and the situation was growing beyond his control. Yet, something about this moment felt important, even historic. "Sir," Marcus said quietly to Elon, "I really am sorry about this." Elon turned to him with genuine kindness. "You're doing your job. That's admirable." He paused, studying the young guard's face. "First month on the job?" Marcus blinked in surprise. "Third week. How did you know?" "You're following protocol exactly, but you're still nervous about it. That's the mark of someone who cares about doing things right." The guard relaxed slightly. I never expected anything like this to happen." "Neither did I," Elon admitted, though he was thinking about the mysterious messages more than the crowd. On social media, Musk rejected had evolved into innovation outside. People were sharing photos and videos, turning the incident into a symbol of how true innovation couldn't be contained by velvet ropes or guest lists. A teenager with bright green hair stepped forward. "Mr. Musk, I failed physics last semester. My teacher said I'd never understand rocket science." Elon's expression softened. "You know, I wasn't the best student either. What matters isn't the grades, it's the curiosity." "Are you curious about how things work?" The teenager nodded eagerly. "Then you're already ahead of most people. Failure is just data. It tells you what doesn't work, so you can find what does." The crowd murmured appreciatively. Someone started a live stream titled "Life: Lessons from Elon Musk Outside Tech Conference." In that moment, Elon's mind drifted to his own childhood in Pretoria, South Africa. He remembered being the awkward kid who read encyclopedias for fun, who was bullied for being different. He remembered feeling excluded, standing on the outside, looking in. "Can I tell you all something?" he said suddenly. The crowd quieted. "When I was young, I often felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I was interested in things other kids didn't care about. I asked questions that annoyed my teachers. People leaned in, phones recording every word. But those questions, that feeling of being an outsider, they pushed me to create my own path. Sometimes being excluded from one thing leads you to something better." A woman in the crowd wiped away a tear. She'd brought her 10-year-old son, who was on the autism spectrum and struggled to fit in at school. Hearing Elon's words gave her hope. The black Escalade was still parked nearby, its engine idling. Elon glanced at it again, wondering who was inside and why they were watching. Victoria Chen finally emerged from the hotel, her face pale. She approached the security guard. "Marcus, we need to..." But she was interrupted by a commotion at the edge of the crowd. An elderly woman was making her way forward, her silver hair gleaming under the streetlights. People parted respectfully to let her through. She walked with purpose, despite her slight limp. Her eyes were sharp and knowing behind wire-rimmed glasses. She wore a faded NASA pin on her jacket. "Young man," she said to Marcus, in a voice that carried authority, "do you know who this is?" "Yes, ma'am. It's Elon Musk. But his name isn't on the list." The woman turned to face the crowd. "My name is Dr. Eleanor Hayes. 50 years ago, I stood where Mr. Musk is standing now." The crowd fell silent. Even the traffic seemed to quiet down. "Was one of the first female engineers at NASA," she continued. "When I arrived for my first day of work, they wouldn't let me in. Said there must be a mistake, that the engineering department didn't hire women." She paused, her eyes distant with memory. "I stood outside that building for 3 hours. Like Mr. Musk, I could have made a scene. I could have demanded special treatment. Instead, I waited patiently until someone with sense came along and fixed the error." Dr. Hayes turned to Elon. "But here's the difference. I was alone. You, Mr. Musk, have created a community right here, tonight, outside these doors. That's the mark of a true leader." The crowd applauded. Elon looked at the elderly scientist with deep respect. "Dr. Hayes, I've read about your work on the Apollo guidance systems. It's an honor to meet you." She smiled. "The honor is mine. You're taking us back to space in ways we only dreamed of." Marcus, the security guard, was visibly moved. His rigid posture had softened, and doubt crossed his face for the first time. "Maybe I should check the list again," he muttered. But before he could, the sound of a powerful engine grew louder. Everyone turned to see the black Escalade pulling closer to the curb. Its tinted windows revealed nothing about who was inside. Elon's phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. "Get in the car. Now. Your life's work depends on it." He looked at the vehicle, then at the crowd of supporters around him. Whatever was happening, whatever conspiracy he'd stumbled into, he had a choice to make. Dr. Hayes must have noticed his hesitation. She leaned in close and whispered something only he could hear. "Sometimes the most important moments in history happen in the shadows. Choose wisely." The Escalade's back door opened slightly. Elon couldn't see inside, but he felt the weight of the decision. Stay with the crowd and continue this impromptu movement, or step into the unknown and face whatever truth was being hidden from him. The choice would change everything. Dr. Eleanor Hayes stood firm beside Elon, her presence commanding. Attention, despite her small stature. The crowd had grown silent, sensing something significant was about to unfold. Mr. Musk, she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Whatever choice you're about to make, remember, history favors the bold, but wisdom favors the patient. The black Escalade's door remained partially open, waiting. Elon glanced between it and the assembled crowd, his mind racing through possibilities. Dr. Hayes continued her story, buying him time to think. When they finally let me into NASA that day in 1969, I discovered why they'd tried to keep me out. They didn't want me to see the problems with the lunar module navigation system. The crowd leaned in, captivated by this piece of space history. The calculations were wrong. If I hadn't been there to correct them, Apollo 11 might have missed the moon entirely. She turned to face Marcus, the security guard. Sometimes, young man, the person you're keeping out is exactly the person you need inside. Marcus swallowed hard, his confidence visibly shaken. He looked down at his clipboard again, as if hoping the list might have magically changed. Dr. Hayes wasn't finished. I spent 30 years at NASA, working on everything from Apollo to the space shuttle. I've seen bureaucracy halt progress more times than I can count. But I've also seen how one person standing up for what's right can change everything. She pulled out her phone and made a call. Director Williams? Eleanor Hayes here. Yes, that Eleanor Hayes. I'm at the Fairmont, and we have a situation. While she spoke, Elon felt his phone buzz again. This message was different. Dr. Hayes is safe. She's one of us. The car is your only chance to learn the truth. Victoria Chen stepped forward, wringing her hands. Dr. Hayes, please, I'm just following orders. The list was very specific. Orders from whom? Dr. Hayes interrupted sharply. Victoria glanced nervously at the hotel windows. I can't say. Can't or won't. The young coordinator looked like she might cry. There are things happening that I don't understand. People called. Important people. They said Mr. Musk's name had to be removed. A murmur ran through the crowd. Someone shouted, "Corporate conspiracy!" Dr. Hayes raised her hand for silence. Victoria, dear, I've known you since you were an intern at JPL. You're better than this. You know her? Elon asked, surprised. I've mentored many young women in aerospace. Victoria was one of my brightest students. Dr. Hayes fixed the coordinator with a stern look. What would your younger self say about this moment? Victoria's shoulders slumped. She'd be ashamed. Then do something about it. The security guard, Marcus, had been listening intently. Something in him seemed to break. Ma'am, he said to Dr. Hayes, I think I need to radio my supervisor again. No need, came a voice from behind. A tall man in a dark suit approached. I'm already here. This was David Reynolds, head of security for the Fairmont. He surveyed the scene with practiced calm. Mr. Musk, he said professionally, I apologize for this confusion. Please come inside. But Elon hesitated. The car door was still open, and the messages suggested something bigger was at stake. Dr. Hayes seemed to read his mind. David, she said to the security head, who ordered Elon's name removed from the list? Reynolds shifted uncomfortably. I'm not at liberty to... It was Preston Webb, wasn't it? Dr. Hayes pressed. CEO of Nexus Aerospace? The security head's silence was answer enough. The crowd began to buzz with speculation. Preston Webb was known as Elon's biggest rival in the space industry, a man who'd publicly criticized SpaceX's Mars ambitions as dangerous fantasy. Why would Webb want to keep me out? Elon asked, though he was beginning to piece it together. Dr. Hayes's expression darkened. Because of the announcement tonight, the one about the joint Mars mission with NASA. Webb's company was counting on that contract. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The mysterious messages, the watching figure in the window, the strategic removal of his name. It was all about the Mars program. But there's more, Dr. Hayes continued. She lowered her voice so only Elon could hear. Project Artemis isn't just about going to Mars. It's about what we found there. Elon's eyes widened. Found? Before she could answer, the Escalade's engine revved impatiently. A hand emerged from the dark interior, holding an envelope. Dr. Hayes squeezed Elon's arm. Whatever you decide, know this. Some secrets are too big for conference rooms. Sometimes the real meeting happens in the shadows. The crowd watched in suspense as Elon stood at the crossroads. Enter the hotel and face whatever trap Webb had set, or get in the mysterious car and uncover the truth about Project Artemis. His phone buzzed one last time. The president is waiting. Choose now. Elon looked at Dr. Hayes, who gave him an almost imperceptible nod. He turned to the crowd. Thank you all for your support tonight. You've reminded me why I do what I do. But now, I have to follow a different path. He walked toward the Escalade, each step feeling heavy with consequence. As he reached for the door, a small voice called out, "Mr. Musk!" He turned to see a young girl pushing through the crowd, clutching a notebook to her chest. It was Sophia Martinez, though he didn't know her name yet. "Wait!" she called out breathlessly. The moment hung suspended, the future balanced on the edge of whatever would happen next. The car door stood open, secrets waiting inside. The crowd held its breath, and somewhere in the shadows, forces beyond anyone's imagination were already in motion. Elon paused with his hand on the car door, looking back at the young girl rushing toward him. In that instant, he didn't know that this child held a piece of the puzzle that would change everything, not just for him, but for the future of humanity's journey to the stars. Sophia Martinez reached Elon just as his hand touched the Escalade's door handle. She was breathing hard from running, her notebook clutched tightly to her chest. "Mr. Musk," she gasped, "I saw someone watching you from the window. They had binoculars, and—" Elon's phone began to ring, cutting her off. The caller ID showed restricted. He held up a finger to Sophia, signaling her to wait, and answered. "Mr. Musk," came a deep, authoritative voice. "This is Admiral James Hawthorne, Director of Space Defense Operations. We need to talk about what's really happening on Mars." The crowd couldn't hear the conversation, but they saw Elon's expression change from curiosity to shock. "Yes, sir," Elon said quietly. "I understand." Dr. Hayes moved closer, concerned by his sudden pallor. Sophia stood frozen, still clutching her notebook. "No, Admiral, I haven't shared that information with anyone." Pause. "Yes, I'm aware of the implications." Another pause. "The car?" "Yes, I see it." The crowd watched in confused silence as Elon's conversation continued. Victoria Chen and Marcus, the security guard, exchanged worried glances. "Sir, there's something you should know," Elon said into the phone. "Preston Webb has been interfering with—" He stopped, listening intently. "You already know. I see." Sophia tugged on Dr. Hayes's sleeve and whispered, "Something's wrong. He looks scared." Dr. Hayes nodded, her NASA training kicking in. She recognized the signs of someone receiving classified information. "Admiral," Elon continued, "are you saying the signal is getting stronger?" His free hand gripped the car door handle tighter. "How much time do we have?" The person inside the Escalade shifted impatiently. Through the tinted window, only a silhouette was visible. "I understand. Yes, I'll get in the car now." Elon glanced at Sophia and Dr. Hayes. "Actually, sir, There's a young student here who might have observed something important. May I bring her along? Sophia's eyes widened. Dr. Hayes put a protective hand on the girl's shoulder. Her father works at SpaceX, Elon added. Juan Martinez, Maintenance Division. There was a long pause as the Admiral considered this. Thank you, sir. And Dr. Hayes? Yes, she's here too. Another pause. You want her to come as well? Understood. Elon ended the call and looked at Sophia seriously. Where are your parents? My dad just left to take us home for dinner, Sophia replied, her voice shaking slightly. Elon turned to the crowd. Can someone please find Juan Martinez? He drives a blue Honda Civic, should be nearby. Several people immediately ran off to search the parking area. Dr. Hayes, Elon said quietly, they want you to come too. Apparently, your expertise with navigation systems is needed. The elderly scientist straightened her shoulders. I had a feeling this day would come again. Marcus, the security guard, stepped forward. Mr. Musk, I don't understand what's happening, but I want to help. Should I call the police? No, Elon said firmly. This is beyond local law enforcement. But thank you for your integrity tonight. Sophia's father came running back, panic on his face. Sophia, what's going on? Papa. Sophia ran to him. Mr. Musk wants me to go with him. I saw something important. Juan looked bewildered. Go where? Why? Elon approached Juan respectfully. Mr. Martinez, your daughter observed something tonight that might be crucial to national security. With your permission, I'd like her to brief some important people about what she saw. National security? Juan's confusion turned to concern. Is she in danger? No, Elon assured him, but she might have information that could help us prevent danger to others. You're welcome to come with us. Juan hesitated, looking at his daughter's excited face. Sophia has school tomorrow. Papa, Sophia said earnestly. This is more important than school. This is about space. Dr. Hayes intervened gently. Juan, I'll be with her the entire time. I promise to keep her safe. Juan studied the elderly scientist, then looked at Elon Musk, his boss, technically, though they'd never met. Finally, he nodded. Okay, but I'm coming too. Elon turned back to the Escalade. We'll need a bigger vehicle, he called out. The back door opened fully, revealing a man in a dark suit with an earpiece. We anticipated this, Mr. Musk. There's a van behind us. Sure enough, a black van pulled up behind the Escalade. Its side door slid open, revealing plush seats and sophisticated communications equipment. Before we go, Elon addressed the crowd. I want you all to know something. Tonight wasn't about being excluded from a conference. It was about something much bigger, something that affects all of us. The crowd murmured with questions, but Elon continued. I can't tell you everything yet, but soon the world will know. And when that happens, remember this moment. Remember that innovation doesn't happen in exclusive rooms. It happens when people come together. He turned to Victoria Chen. The conference will need to continue without me. Tell them I had a more important meeting. Victoria nodded, tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, Mr. Musk. I should have questioned the orders. You're questioning them now. That's what matters. As Elon, Dr. Hayes, Sophia, and Juan climbed into the van, the crowd began to applaud. Someone started chanting, Mars! 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 And others joined in. Inside the van, Sophia finally opened her notebook. Mr. Musk, I wrote down everything I saw. The person in the window, the exact times, the black car that was here before you arrived. Elon smiled at her thoroughness. You're A natural scientist, Sophia. Now, tell me everything. As the van pulled away from the Fairmont Hotel, Sophia began sharing her observations. She didn't know it yet, but her careful notes would prove to be the key to understanding a threat that reached far beyond Earth. The phone in Elon's pocket buzzed one more time. He glanced at the message. Mars signal confirmed. They're coming. He slipped the phone back into his pocket, his mind racing. Whatever Project Artemis had discovered on Mars, it was no longer waiting for humans to make the journey. It was already reaching out to Earth. The black van moved smoothly through the streets of San Jose, its tinted windows hiding its important passengers from curious eyes. Inside, Sophia had spread her notebook across her lap, her finger tracing the detailed sketches she'd made. "See, Mr. Musk?" she said, pointing to her drawing. The person in the window wasn't just watching. They were signaling someone. Elon leaned forward, studying her precise notes. Signaling how? With a flashlight. 3 short flashes, then 2 long ones. They did it twice. Dr. Hayes raised an eyebrow. That's Morse code. 3 short, 2 long spells. V. V for what? Juan asked, holding his daughter's hand protectively. Could be verification, the driver suggested, his eyes never leaving the road. Or vector. Sophia flipped to another page. And look at this. My Mars colony design. I've been working on it for months. The page showed a carefully drawn habitat with interconnected domes, solar panels, and greenhouse modules. But what caught Elon's attention was a series of antenna arrays she'd sketched. Around the perimeter. Sophia, he said slowly, why did you add so many communication dishes? She looked surprised by the question. I had this dream last week. In the dream, Mars was trying to talk to us, but we didn't have enough receivers to hear properly. So when I woke up, I added more to my design. The van fell silent. Dr. Hayes and Elon exchanged meaningful looks. Show me more, Elon urged. Sophia turned the pages, revealing detailed plans for water recycling systems, oxygen generation, and underground tunnels. Each drawing was meticulous, far beyond what most 12-year-olds could conceive. This tunnel system, Elon pointed. It's almost identical to something my engineers have been developing. Juan squeezed his daughter's shoulder proudly. She reads everything about SpaceX. Sometimes I bring home old technical manuals that were being thrown away. She studies them for hours. But this section here, Elon indicated a series of chambers deep underground. This isn't in any of our public plans. Sophia, where did you get this idea? Sophia bit her lip. I just knew it needed to be there. For protection. Protection from what? I don't know. I just felt like the colonists would need somewhere safe to go. Somewhere deep. The van turned onto a private road, heading toward a nondescript building on the outskirts of the city. Elon's mind was racing. This child had somehow intuited design elements that his top-secret team had only recently developed. Mr. Musk, Sophia said hesitantly, can I ask you something? Of course. In my dream, the Mars signal, it wasn't random. It was like music. But not music we know. More like math singing. Dr. Hayes sat up straighter. Mathematical harmonics? That's exactly how the Apollo team described certain unexplained signals we received in 1969. You never reported those, Elon said. We were told not to, Dr. Hayes replied grimly. National security. The van pulled into an underground garage. As they climbed out, Elon made a decision. Sophia, I want to show you something. But first, I need to make an announcement. He pulled out his phone and opened Twitter. His fingers flew across the screen. Tonight, I was denied entry to a tech conference. But outside those doors, I met the future of space exploration. A 12-year-old girl with vision beyond her years. Starting tomorrow, SpaceX will fund STEM programs in every public school in California. The next generation won't wait for permission to innovate. Innovation outside. He showed the tweet to Sophia before sending it. Her eyes widened. You're doing this because of me? I'm doing this because of what you represent. Curiosity, dedication, and dreams too big for any building to contain. He pressed send. Within seconds, his phone began buzzing with notifications. They were led through security checkpoints to a conference room where several serious-looking people waited. Admiral Hawthorne stood at the head of the table, his uniform crisp and decorated with medals. "Mr. Musk," he began, then noticed Sophia. "And this must be our young observer." Sophia clutched her notebook tighter. Juan stayed close to his daughter, overwhelmed but determined to protect her. "Show them what you showed me," Elon encouraged. As Sophia opened her notebook, a large screen on the wall flickered to life. It displayed a complex waveform pattern. "This," Admiral Hawthorne said, "is the signal we've been receiving from Mars for the past 6 weeks. It's growing stronger." Sophia stared at the pattern, then quickly flipped through her notebook. She stopped at a page covered in doodles she'd made during math class. "I've drawn this," she whispered. Everyone leaned in to look. There, among hearts and flowers and random scribbles, was a pattern nearly identical to the one on the screen. "When did you draw this?" Dr. Hayes asked gently. "Last month. I thought I was just doodling, but I kept drawing the same thing over and over." Admiral Hawthorne sat down heavily. "How is this possible?" Elon's mind was working furiously. "Sir, I think we need to consider that this signal isn't just being received by our equipment. Somehow, it's reaching sensitive individuals directly." "You mean she's picking up alien signals?" Juan asked, his protective instincts flaring. "Not alien," Dr. Hayes corrected. "At least, not in the way you're thinking. Mars was once like Earth. If there was ever life there, it might have left something behind," Elon finished. "Something that's been waiting." Sophia looked up at the screen, then back at her notebook. "In my dream, they're not trying to scare us. They're trying to warn us." "Warn us about what?" "Admiral," Hawthorne demanded. Sophia closed her eyes, remembering. "About the others, the ones who made Mars silent. They're coming here next." The room fell deathly quiet. On the screen, the signal pattern pulsed steadily, like a heartbeat from across the void of space. Elon looked at Sophia with new understanding. Her Mars colony design wasn't just a school project. It was a blueprint for survival, one that humanity might need sooner than anyone had imagined. "Admiral," Elon said firmly, "I think it's time we stopped preparing to go to Mars and started preparing for what's coming from it." Outside, unaware of the momentous discussion happening beneath their feet, the people of San Jose went about their evening routines. But above them, the red planet hung in the night sky, no longer silent, its ancient warning growing louder with each passing hour. Back at the Fairmont Hotel, Victoria Chen stood in the empty lobby, her tablet clutched to her chest. The crowd had dispersed, but the energy of what had happened still lingered in the air. Her phone buzzed. Another angry message from Preston Webb. "Where is Musk? The presentation is ruined." She took a deep breath and made a decision that would change her life. Instead of replying to Webb, she called someone else. "David?" she said, when the head of security answered. "We need to talk. Meet me in the security office. Bring the original guest list." 5 minutes later, Victoria sat across from David Reynolds and Marcus Thompson in the small security office. She pulled up files on her tablet. "I lied earlier," she began. "I know exactly who ordered Musk's removal from the list. It was Preston Webb. But that's not all." She turned her tablet to show them. "Look at these emails." The messages revealed a coordinated effort to sabotage the Mars announcement. Webb had paid several people to ensure Musk wouldn't make it to the conference. "Why are you showing us this now?" David asked. "Because what happened tonight wasn't just about corporate rivalry. Look at this attachment Webb sent me." She opened a document labeled Project Silence. As they read, their faces grew pale. Meanwhile, in the underground facility, Admiral Hawthorne was explaining the full scope of the situation to Elon, Dr. Hayes, Sophia, and Juan. 6 weeks ago, our Mars rovers detected unusual energy signatures coming from beneath the Olympus Mons region. At first, we thought it was geological activity. He pressed a button, and the screen showed satellite images of Mars's largest volcano. But then the signals began to form patterns, mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the Fibonacci sequence. It was clearly intelligent. Sophia raised her hand like she was in school. "What happened next?" "We kept it classified while we tried to understand it. But then..." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Then people started having dreams. Scientists, engineers, even children. All describing the same thing. A warning," Sophia said quietly. "Yes, but Preston Webb found out. His company had been developing competing Mars technology. He saw this as a threat to his plans." Elon stood up, pacing. "So he tried to keep me from announcing our joint mission with NASA tonight." "But why?" Dr. Hayes spoke up. "Because Webb doesn't want to prevent whatever's coming. He wants to profit from it." The Admiral nodded grimly. "We intercepted communications between Webb and certain foreign interests. He's planning to sell the signal technology to the highest bidder." "But that's insane!" Juan exclaimed. "If there's a threat to Earth, Webb doesn't believe in the threat," the Admiral interrupted. "He thinks it's an opportunity. Ancient Martian technology that could revolutionize energy, computing, space travel." Sophia had been sketching while they talked. She held up her notebook, showing a drawing of Mars with lines radiating out from it like a spider web. "The signal isn't just a warning," she said. "It's a map. It shows where they came from and where they went." Everyone stared at her drawing. The lines connected Mars to various points in space, with one line pointing directly at Earth. "How do you know this?" Dr. Hayes asked gently. "I don't know how I know. I just feel it." Sophia looked at Elon. "That's why the underground chambers in my colony design are so important. The original Martians built them too. They tried to hide, but it wasn't enough." Elon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression changed. Webb just went public. "He's claiming the Mars signals are a hoax I created to boost SpaceX stock prices. He's filing an SEC complaint." Admiral Hawthorne slammed his fist on the table. "We're running out of time. The signal strength has increased 400% in the last hour." Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed along the corridors. "What's happening?" Juan asked, pulling Sophia close. A technician burst into the room. "Sir, the Mars signal just changed. It's counting down." They rushed to the main control room, where dozens of screens showed various data streams. On the central display, a series of pulses appeared in a clear pattern. 10 pulses, then 9, then 8. "How long do we have?" Elon asked. "At this rate, it reaches 0 in approximately 72 hours, the technician replied. Sophia stepped forward, studying the patterns. "It's not a countdown to arrival. she said. "It's a countdown to departure." Departure? Admiral Hawthorne looked confused. "The warning isn't about something coming to Earth," Sophia explained, her voice steady despite her age. "It's about Earth becoming like Mars. Whatever silenced that planet is already here. The signal is telling us how long we have to leave." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Elon turned to the Admiral. "We need to go public with this, now. The President has to approve." "There's no time." Elon pulled out his phone. "I'm calling a press conference. Webb's lies end tonight." Dr. Hayes put her hand on his arm. "Elon, wait. If we do this wrong, it could cause global panic. And if we do nothing, there might not be a globe left to panic," he replied. Sophia tugged on Elon's sleeve. "Mr. Musk, I think I know how to prove the signal is real." Everyone turned to look at her. "In my notebook, I drew the complete pattern weeks ago. But I also drew something else, the solution. The Martians didn't just send a warning. They sent instructions for survival." She flipped to the last page of her notebook. There, in careful detail, was a design unlike anything they'd seen before. A massive structure that seemed to combine elements of a spaceship, a city, and something else entirely. "This is what we need to build," Sophia said. "Not to run away, but to shield Earth. The Martians figured it out too late for themselves, but they left us the blueprint." Elon stared at the drawing, his mind already calculating the engineering challenges. "How long would this take to build?" Sophia smiled sadly. "That's why the countdown is 72 hours. It's not when the threat arrives. It's how long we have to start building, or it'll be too late." As the implications of Sophia's words sank in, everyone in the room realized that the next 3 days would determine the fate of humanity. The real challenge wasn't just revealing the truth, it was convincing the world to act on it before time ran out. The black Escalade from earlier pulled into the underground facility's garage. Its door opened, and out stepped a woman in a crisp navy suit, Dr. Sarah Chen, the President's science advisor. Her face was grave as she walked briskly toward the conference room. "The President is ready for your briefing," she announced as she entered. "But first, Mr. Musk, you should know that Preston Webb has just held a press conference. He's claiming you've lost your mind." She pulled up a news feed on the main screen. Webb stood before a crowd of reporters, his silver hair perfectly styled, his expression one of mock concern. "I fear my colleague Elon Musk is suffering from stress-induced delusions," Webb was saying. "These claims about Mars signals are not only false, but dangerous. I've asked the SEC to investigate his mental fitness to run a public company." Elon's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, Sophia spoke up. "He's scared," she said simply. "He knows the truth, and he's scared." Dr. Chen looked at the young girl curiously. "You must be Sophia Martinez. The President is very interested in meeting you." Within minutes, they were connected via secure video link to the White House Situation Room. The President's face filled the screen, flanked by military advisors and cabinet members. "Mr. Musk, Admiral Hawthorne, I need facts, not speculation," the President began. "What exactly are we facing?" Elon stepped forward. "Madam President, what I'm about to show you will change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe." For the next 20 minutes, they presented the evidence. The signals, Sophia's drawings, the countdown, and most importantly, the blueprint for Earth's protection. When they finished, the room was silent. The President leaned forward. "You're telling me we have less than 72 hours to begin construction of a planetary shield, based on drawings from a 12-year-old girl?" "With respect, Madam President," Dr. Hayes interjected, These aren't just drawings. They're technical specifications that match advanced engineering principles. Somehow, Sophia has tapped into information left behind by the Martian civilization. And you believe this threat is already here? Sophia stepped forward bravely. It's not like an alien invasion, ma'am. It's more like a virus that affects planets. Mars caught it first. The Martians tried to warn us before they went silent. The president studied Sophia's face on the screen. And you received these warnings in dreams? Yes, ma'am. But I'm not the only one. There are others. Admiral Hawthorne pulled up a map showing dots across the globe. We've identified at least 200 individuals reporting similar dreams and visions. They're all describing the same thing. Suddenly, one of the president's advisors interrupted. Madam President, we're getting reports of unusual atmospheric disturbances. The aurora borealis is visible as far south as Mexico. On cue, the facility's monitors switched to live feeds from around the world. The night sky was alive with ribbons of green and purple light, dancing in patterns that seemed almost deliberate. Night with you. Signal is affecting our magnetosphere, Elon explained. It's preparing Earth for the same fate as Mars. The president made her decision. Admiral Hawthorne, initiate Emergency Protocol Omega. Mr. Musk, you have full authority to begin construction immediately. Use whatever resources you need. What about Webb? Someone asked. I'll handle Webb, the president replied coldly. Dr. Chen, arrange a global broadcast. The world needs to know the truth. As the video call ended, alarms began sounding again. This time, it wasn't from the facility's systems. Sir, a technician called out. We're detecting massive energy signatures. Something's happening at Olympus Mons. The main screen switched to a live feed from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The massive Martian volcano was glowing with an eerie blue light. As they watched, beams of energy shot upward from its peak, forming a geometric pattern in space. It's beautiful, Sophia whispered. It's a transmitter, Elon realized. The Martians built it to boost their warning signal. Dr. Hayes nodded. They knew their time was running out, so they created a beacon that would last millions of years, waiting for another civilization to arise. Juan, who had been quiet throughout the briefing, finally spoke. So my daughter, she's like a receiver for this signal? More than that, Dr. Chen replied, entering the room. She's a translator. The Martian message was designed to be understood by young minds, those still capable of thinking beyond conventional limits. Sophia was sketching again, her hand moving rapidly across the page. The shield needs to be built at these coordinates, she said, showing them a map with 7 points marked across the globe. They're the Earth's energy nodes. Elon studied the locations. Nevada, Brazil, Egypt, India, Australia, Russia, and... He paused. Antarctica. We'll need unprecedented international cooperation, Admiral Hawthorne said. Every nation working together. Or we all fall separately, Dr. Hayes added grimly. As if in response to their words, news feeds began showing. World leaders calling emergency sessions. The president's message was spreading. Webb appeared on one screen, his confident demeanor cracking as reporters bombarded him with questions about the global aurora. His lies were unraveling in real time. Mr. Musk? Sophia said quietly. There's something else. Everyone turned to her. The Martians. They didn't all die. Some of them escaped. They've been trying to help us prepare. She held up her latest drawing. It showed ships, not spacecraft as they knew them, but something organic, almost alive, emerging from the depths of Earth's oceans. "They've been here all along," she continued, waiting until we were ready to listen. As her words sank in, monitors around the room began displaying reports of unusual underwater activity near the 7 coordinates Sophia had marked. Something was rising from the depths. The countdown continued. 67 hours remaining. Elon looked at the team assembled around him. A 12-year-old girl, her custodian father, a retired NASA scientist, and military personnel. It wasn't the team he'd expected to save the world with, but it was the team they had. "Let's get to work," he said. "We have a planet to protect." Within hours, the world had changed. Construction crews mobilized across 7 continents. Military forces from former enemy nations worked side by side. The International Space Station became a coordination hub, with astronauts from every country monitoring the shield's progress. At SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, Elon stood before a wall of screens, each showing a different construction site. Sophia sat beside him, her notebook open, comparing her drawings to the emerging structures. "The Antarctic site is having problems," a technician reported. "The ice is unstable." Sophia flipped through her pages. "They need to go deeper. The bedrock has natural resonance chambers." Elon relayed her instructions. Within minutes, the Antarctic team confirmed they'd found the chambers exactly where Sophia had indicated. Meanwhile, Preston Webb had been arrested trying to flee the country. His private jet was intercepted at JFK Airport, where authorities found him attempting to smuggle classified Mars data to an unnamed buyer. "Webb just broke," Admiral Hawthorne announced, entering the command center. He admits he knew about the threat, but planned to sell shelter spots in underground bunkers to billionaires. Dr. Hayes shook her head in disgust. He would have let the world burn for profit. The countdown showed 24 hours remaining. Around the globe, the aurora grew more intense, and electronic systems began failing randomly. Cars stopped mid-highway. Planes were grounded. The internet flickered in and out. "Papa," Sophia said suddenly, "the Martians are coming up." Juan, who hadn't left his daughter's side, looked alarmed. "Coming up?" She pointed to a screen showing the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii. The water was churning, forming a massive whirlpool. From its center, something emerged, a crystalline structure that defied conventional physics, shifting and flowing like liquid metal. Similar reports came in from the other 6 sites. Ancient Martian vessels, hidden in Earth's oceans for millennia, were rising to assist with the shield construction. The president appeared on screen. "Mr. Musk, are these friendly?" Before he could answer, Sophia spoke. "They're here to help. They've been protecting Earth's oceans, keeping the planet stable until we were ready." As if to confirm her words, the vessels began projecting beams of energy that connected with the human-built structures, enhancing and completing them. "The engineering is incredible," Elon marveled. "They're using principles we haven't even discovered yet." With 12 hours remaining, a problem emerged. The Nevada site reported critical power failures. The human technology couldn't generate enough energy to maintain the shield. "We need more power than our entire global grid can provide," an engineer reported grimly. Sophia had been quiet, studying her drawings. Suddenly, she gasped. "The Tesla towers." Elon turned to her. "What do you mean?" "In my dream, I saw towers like Nikola Tesla designed. Wireless energy transmission. The Martians used the same principle, but bigger, much bigger." She quickly sketched a modification to the existing structures. "If we add these elements, the shield towers become their own power source, drawing energy directly from Earth's magnetic field." Engineers around the world immediately began implementing her modifications. As they worked, reports came in of people worldwide experiencing the same dreams Sophia had. visions of Mars' final days, and instructions for survival. Dr. Chen coordinated with hospitals globally. We have over 10,000 confirmed cases of people receiving the Martian message. Children, scientists, artists. There's no clear pattern, except they all have highly creative minds. With 3 hours left, all 7 sites reported completion. The modified towers hummed with power, creating a network of energy that surrounded the planet. Initiating shield activation, Elon announced. As he pressed the activation sequence, the Martian vessels pulsed in unison. Beams of light connected the 7 points, forming a geometric web around Earth. The aurora borealis intensified, then suddenly stabilized into a protective barrier. Shield is holding, technicians confirmed. Power levels stable. But the celebration was short-lived. Alarms blared as something appeared on deep space monitors. "We have incoming," Admiral Hawthorne reported. Unknown objects entering the solar system at impossible speeds. Sophia stood up, her face calm. "They're here. The ones who silenced Mars." The objects appeared on screen, dark, angular shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect. They moved with purpose toward Earth. "Shield status?" Elon demanded. "Holding at 100%, came the reply. The dark objects reached Earth's orbit and immediately began probing the shield. Energy discharges lit up the sky as the barrier held firm. Sophia watched intently. They're confused. They've never encountered resistance before. After several minutes of testing the shield, the dark objects began to retreat. They gathered at a distance, seeming to communicate with each other. "They're leaving," someone whispered. "No," Sophia said. "They're waiting. They know time is their ally. They've waited millions of years. They can wait longer." Elon nodded grimly. "Then we need to prepare for a long defense. This shield bought us time, but we need a permanent solution." Dr. Hayes stepped forward. "Maybe that's what the Martians intended, not just to help us survive, but to prepare us to fight back." Sophia smiled for the first time in hours. That's exactly what they wanted. They couldn't save themselves, but they made sure we'd have a chance. As dawn broke over California, the world awakened to a new reality. Humanity had been given a reprieve, but also a responsibility. The shield held strong, maintained by the combined technology of two civilizations. Elon looked at Sophia, the unlikely savior of Earth. "What happens now?" She closed her notebook. "Now we learn. The Martians left us more than just warnings. They left us their knowledge. All of it." Juan hugged his daughter tightly. "You did it, mija. You saved the world." "We all did," she replied. "And now we have to make sure it stays saved." Outside, the sky shimmered with the protective shield, a constant reminder of both the threat beyond and the unity within. Preston Webb's attempt to profit from catastrophe had failed. Instead, humanity had found its greatest strength in cooperation, guided by the dreams of a 12-year-old girl and the legacy of a long-dead civilization. The red velvet rope that had once kept Elon Musk from entering a conference had led to the salvation of Earth. Sometimes, being denied entry to one door opens a gateway to something far greater. The Mars signal continued, no longer a warning, but a beacon of hope, connecting two worlds across time and space. And somewhere in the depths of space, the dark objects waited, planning their next move against a planet that had finally learned to defend itself. That was the end of this incredible story about how a simple moment of rejection led to humanity's greatest triumph. Sometimes the doors that close lead us to something far more important than we could have imagined. Where are you listening from today? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story about innovation, determination, and the power of unexpected connections, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We share more inspiring stories like this one every week. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family to spread kindness and awareness. You never know how a simple story might change someone's perspective or inspire them to see challenges as opportunities. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.